Hello again, welcome to my channel. I am here watching a requested video. Nick Jones talks about a person who went from stripper to salvation, a supernatural testimony of hell. So this is someone who apparently has visited hell, and this was a request sent to me. So I am going to do a reaction video. So without further ado, we will start the video. By the way, if you have any suggestions, put them down in the comment section and I will watch. Let's go.
Mouth. Not me. I have never danced on a pole in my life. She was dancing on a pole until Jesus showed her what hell was. This should be a very, very interesting testimony. I'm excited to get into this. Before we get into this testimony, I want to share something with y'all that I've been thinking and something that I want to try. So I know a lot of people, maybe they want to start like a YouTube channel, like a Christian YouTube channel, or maybe they want to start like a Christian, Instagram page or TikTok, or maybe they just want to share their testimony, but they might not have a platform to do so. Let's get straight into the testimony. I was dancing on a pole until Jesus showed me hell. I'll link this full video down below in the description if anyone is interested in their channel. They do have a lot more testimonies that are posted on their channel as well. All right, let's get into it.
What was it like for you growing up? Did you grow up with Jesus in your life? Did you go to church or anything like that? Or how did you grow up? What was your family life like, your friends, school?
Yeah, I grew up. My dad was a Christian and he used to take me to church. I just kind of went. I don't really think I really knew. I just kind of went and just followed what they did. But then when I, got older and moved out of home, I thought it was just a bunch of fairy tales, and I kind of became an atheist and fully started just rejecting God. Growing up at school, didn't really have many friends, got picked on a lot. I was that kid that got bullied. I was a bit of a tomboy. Just spent most of my days just riding my bike, and I'm glad I didn't grow up in this generation, otherwise they would have convinced me to have a sex change or something. The world's going crazy.
Did you have any spiritual experiences when you were young, through school? Were you into New Age or anything like that?
No. When I was at school, I was a Christian. Well, sort of, I think just, because my family was. I was all right at school. My dad did all right, got good grades. I did have a car accident though, around the beginning of year 12, so I missed out on most of the school year because I broke both of my legs and I was in a wheelchair. I was driving a van and there's no front to a van, and I was stopped at a traffic light and had a guy hit me front on, so the whole van went and crushed both of my legs at the same time. Yeah, I nearly died from that, but by the grace of God, didn't.
I guess in your early life, maybe teenage years, what was your family like? Was there any trauma, any difficult times that you were going through at this age, or was life pretty easy at the time?
Oh, my dad and mum, divorced and stuff. My mum ended up dating a transvestite pretty much my whole childhood. Her name was Jody. It was a 6-foot tall man in a dress. So I kind of grew up around all that, but yeah, and then I think I just got further and further and further away from God the older I got. But yeah, a little bit of a weird childhood, I would say.
Could you imagine growing up in church and then going from that to your mom dating a 6-foot man in a dress? And as a child, trying to make sense of all of that. I can't even imagine that.
But then again, I guess it's not weird now. Back then it was weird. Now everyone's parading it. My partner when I was at school was 26 and I was 17, so that was probably not too good. Just had partners growing up. When I got into stripping, it got really, really bad. I was just kind of using guys as toys.
At what age were you when you started stripping? How'd you get into it?
I used to manage the Crazy Horse and the Firm in Adelaide, two of the biggest strip clubs in Adelaide. So yeah, when you're managing those clubs and you're working, 6 days a week, 13-hour shifts, and taking home an income that's less than what these girls take home in one day, it was kind of yeah, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna go give this a try. So then I did. I left Adelaide, flew to Canberra where I figured no one would know me, and and started stripping so I could make big money.
Is there like a particular night that you can remember where something happened, or walk us through a typical night, a big night for you?
Oh well, see, the clubs I was working in King's Cross, they were just rotten clubs. Like the owners of the clubs knew like that you were selling drugs. Like I would sell drugs in the club. It would be like I'd say to someone, you take me for 1 hour down, like dance upstairs, and I'll sell you this bag of cocaine, and then we'd take them upstairs, just rack cocaine bag after bag after bag, just keeping them up there until the sun came up. Because these clubs, they either turned the cameras off or had areas in the rooms that were just not covered intentionally, so we could get them up there and just absolutely rort them with drugs, get them off their heads, so you just clear out their bank accounts, kind of thing. It was wrong. It was really, really wrong. When you work in that environment and you see the most putrid men, like it just puts a bad name on men, and it got to the point where I just despised men. Like I just be like, I'll just look at someone and just be like, what a putrid, like disgusting man, like I'm gonna rip him for everything he's got. Because you see the worst of people, you don't see the best of people in those places, and it just kind of makes you loathe and detest those people. So you kind of take pleasure in rorting them, which is bad. Your mindset in there, like a lot of the girls in strip clubs are lesbians because they see the worst of men. A lot of them have the same mentality. I can't speak for all of them, but a lot of them do have that mentality where all you get is these just putrid men that just want to abuse you, so then you just want to abuse them, and it's just this cycle of just, it's just not a healthy environment, not a good environment at all.
So I imagine you're getting paid quite a lot of money every week. What would you do with that money? Was that something that kept
Blow
you
it.
going?
You could blow it. I could make 3-4 grand in one night and then blow it, and just on stupid stuff. Just absolutely, you just find that you just end up just blowing your money on just stupid stuff all the time. Like I collected Tag Heuer watches. I was spending 5-6 grand on a watch, $1,000 on a handbag or a jacket or clothing or shoes or just stuff that I gave it all away. I ended up giving it all away. You just cars, just nothing permanent. You just end up blowing it. Blew a lot of it on holidays.
And what was your close circle at the time? Did you have other friends who didn't know what you were doing? What about your family? Did they know?
No, my family didn't know. I didn't tell my friends in Adelaide. I kept my personal life and my work life very separate. That's why I flew away from Adelaide to work, to make sure that no one I grew up with ever, bumped into me.
So how were you at the moment? What was your mental state at the time? Were you doing anything spiritual at the time either, or did you connect with anything?
No, I just blocked it out. I believed in evolution and aliens. I didn't believe there was a God. I used to believe we got reincarnated, come back as another person. I never looked at any YouTube back then. I just worked, partied, slept, maybe watched a movie here and there. I did not look into anything. I just believed everything they said.
After sort of 4 or 5 years or so that you were doing it, did it start to take a toll on you mentally and physically at all, or were you?
Oh, 100%, yeah, mentally. It was just absolutely exhausting. I found that I had to be on drugs and alcohol just to get through the day.
Is this where the tattoos started coming in as well? Or?
Oh no, I've just been getting these since I was about 18. It's kind of just like one big one.
That's it.
I don't know, they all connect, it's the whole body.
So tell us about how you led up to the point where you accepted Jesus in your life.
It happened in 2018. I didn't believe in God. As I said, I was an atheist. I believe in aliens and evolution, all that kind of stuff. I was in my hometown of Adelaide, and I was getting a tattoo, a big atheist tattoo on my bum cheek, kind of thinking I knew it all, thinking I knew the meaning of the universe, being really cocky. I was in Front Yard Tattoo in Mount Barker in Adelaide. A tattoo artist was tattooing my entire arse cheek with this mockery to God tattoo. It's just it's like an astronaut floating around in space, because I believe in evolution and all that. I was going to get my other butt cheek done as well as I
just have to say, we don't use the word bum here in America, and we don't say tattoo like T-A-D-O-O. That's how it sounds like she pronounced it, tattoo. We actually say tattoo. Amazing how entire planet, we all have just different dialects and different ways to pronounce words.
They're going to be like anyway. As I'm lying on the tattoo table, getting my ass cheek tattooed, this tattoo is a mockery to God, like practically like, ha ha ha, God doesn't exist. Suddenly my whole body gets like paralyzed. Total and complete body paralysis on the tattoo table, like can't move, can't talk, can't even blink. And then next minute, it's like, God threw me into the hell that was prepared for me when I died. Like God showed me where I would go unless I changed my ways and gave my life to Him. And like there was no concept of time in the place that I was. It's hard to explain because we're living in time, but I'm telling you right now, there was no time in the place that I was. Time did not exist. I was awake when this happened. It's like, it's not like, oh, you know, people are like, oh, you're imagining it, or like, no, it's like, imagine you're just standing there and next minute you get like transported to Mars. Like I got taken to another dimension. Like I was physically there. And I can't tell you what your hell would be like. Everyone's hell's different. This hell was perfectly choreographed around my life to torment me until the great white throne of judgment. And then eventually, like, my body got released from hell and I sat up from the tattoo table and I'm freaking out. Like, I'm absolutely freaking out. I'm trying to comprehend what just happened. But your mind, your physical mind cannot comprehend the horrors that you see down there. Like in the spiritual, it's like trying to fit a swimming pool of water into like a thimble. Like you just cannot comprehend it. It just can't fit in there. That much information just like can't fit in your fleshly form. So anyway, I sit up from the tattoo table and everyone in the tattoo parlor, everyone stopped what they're doing. They've surrounded my tattoo table and they've called me an ambulance to rush me to hospital. They think that I'm having a seizure or something, but I just say to everyone, just take me out the back. I want to separate myself from all these onlookers that are like, you know, watching me and looking at me. So they take me out the back of the tattoo parlor, the owner of the tattoo shop. He brings out this office chair for me to sit in. So I sit in this office chair and I got my head in my hands and I'm freaking out. Like I'm trying to comprehend what just happened, but you can't comprehend it. And then suddenly, as I'm sitting there, my whole body gets paralyzed a second time. Like can't move, can't talk, can't even blink. And then this little voice in my head was like, kind of like mocking me in a way, like, atheist, huh? You think you know it all? I'm gonna show you. Then next minute, my whole body, like from the chest, gets like whooshed forward and I go speeding through a tunnel. Like I'm speeding so fast that starlight is becoming literal lines shooting past my face. And I'm heading towards this light at the end of the tunnel. And suddenly I break out of the tunnel and I'm just hovering in this brilliant, bright white light. Like, I mean, the brilliance of this light was so bright. Like if you're in your fleshly form, you'd be dust. That's how bright this light was. But for some reason I could look upon this light and not be blinded. Now there was no floor, no wall, no ceiling. I'm just hovering in light. And then overwhelming comes over me with this feeling of just peace and love and like everything's gonna be okay. Like I just came out of hell and now it's suddenly I got this hand on me saying, it's okay, I've got you. And then faster than I saw nothing but light, all I saw was light, my whole body gets sucked backwards through this tunnel. Now I'm speeding as fast backwards as what I was speeding forwards. And then suddenly, like, my body gets plonked back in the tattoo parlor. And I'm back in the tattoo parlor with the memory of my hell. Now, over the next few weeks, I'm trying to tell all my friends, like, guys, like, please believe me, like, God showed me hell, like, God showed me hell, please believe me. All my friends are calling me crazy. They're all like, you're brainwashed, go seek mental help. But I know what I heard. I know what I saw. I know where I was. That is something that can never be taken away from me. So after I realized God's real, we're living in the end days, it's coming, like I realized, you know, all my friends rejected me. There's no reason for me to be in Adelaide anymore. So I decided to move up to Queensland. I have family up here and I wanted to be closer to them. So I jump in my car and I do a road trip down to Adelaide. And as I'm driving my car, I'm talking to God on this like really long road trip. And I'm talking to God, I'm like, God, all my friends are calling me crazy. All my friends are calling me brainwashed. I'm like, God, if you don't prove yourself to me right now, I'm gonna believe I'm insane. I'm gonna believe I'm crazy. I'm gonna believe what everyone's saying about me. And I start screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, I mean, screaming, like, prove yourself, God, or I'm gonna think I'm crazy. And I'm screaming and I'm screaming and I'm screaming, like I'm relentlessly just screaming to God, prove yourself, God, or I'm insane. Like, I'm screaming so much and so loud, I'm almost losing my voice. That's how much I'm screaming to him. So I just keep screaming at him and screaming at him and screaming at him to prove himself, and then suddenly he does. Now, what happens next and the way it happened, like, this cannot happen unless it's God himself doing it. The radio in my car just changed itself. And it blasts. I mean, it blasts. Like, imagine getting a radio and going up to like the loudest it goes, and then timesing it by like 10, you know, like the loudest you've ever heard. So God just God absolutely blast messages through song. Now these messages like fit my life. They tell me I'm saved. They tell me I'm on the right path. And meanwhile these messages are playing, I'll ask God a rhetorical question in my mind. Like, you know, rhetorical. Like, deep down, you know the answer to that question. Like, are drugs bad? Like, don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Like, you answer that question. God wants you to answer that question. So the moment the question was asked, God would pause the radio. Complete blasting music to absolute radio silence. And God would wait, very patiently, I might add, for me to answer the question out loud with the answer that he wanted to hear. Now, it didn't matter how long or how short it took me to answer that question, whether it took 5 seconds or 5 minutes, it didn't matter. The split second that answer had finished exiting out of my lips, now God would blast the radio with another message through song, and then another question, and pause, blasting music to total radio silence. Once again, waiting very patiently for me to answer the question out loud with the answer that he wanted to hear. And it didn't matter how long or how short it took me to answer, literally the split second that answer had finished exiting out of my lips, now God would blast the radio with another message through song. And then another question, and pause. God did this again and again and again and again and again. I'm like bawling my eyes out. I'm driving my car, like trying to keep straight on the road, just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you're right. I'm crying and I'm crying, like I'm literally like bawling my eyes out. Like I'm like, my eyes are so filled with water. I'm like trying to see in front of me. And I'm crying and I'm like, thank you God, you're real. Like I'm just in so much shock. I can't believe what just happened, but it happened. And I'm just like thanking God. I'm like, thank you God, you're real. And then it's like suddenly the radio in my car, it just changed itself again. I've never heard the bass in my car so loud. God comes through the radio and he tells me that it's God himself doing it. Now, he hasn't just done this once. He's done this several times. Like he did it late night in the gym one time. He did it in the shopping center before. He's done it in the hospital once. Several times in my car, even to the point where he'll put on a snippet of a piece of song and then change the radio, and then put on a snippet of another piece of a different song and then change the radio, and then put on a snippet of another piece of a different song, and then using snippets from different bits of songs that are being mashed together, he makes a message like Bumblebee from Transformers, like completely supernatural. So when like anyone ever says to me like, well, how do you know God's real? It's like, I know God's real. Like, it's not even a question for me. Like, I 100% know God's real. I was even sitting in my lounge room one day just chilling out, just watching TV, when suddenly out of nowhere it's like the whole peripheral vision just goes, and then it just zooms in and it's Jesus on the cross, and the entire world is his footstool. So I know God's real. I know Jesus is God, and you know he's been coming to me again and again, and it's always, you know, he wants us to know he's coming. He's coming now, and we need to get ready or we're going to get left behind.
I'm going to stop the video right there. There's about 9 minutes left, but I'll do a part 2. But this is a lot to digest. This is it's amazing testimony. I've listened to many testimonies of hell and of heaven in previous years of my life, and I can tell you that what she says has lined up with a lot of testimonies that I've heard about hell, about the bright white light, about you know, the being overwhelmed with the feeling of peace and love and comfort and safety. So wow, this is a great testimony. I'm looking forward to finishing it. If you guys have any other videos you'd like for me to check out, please leave it in the comment section. Thanks for checking this out, and I will see you next time.